we really pushed our multifamily owners to fund us quickly so that we could get the orders in the second we heard that coronavirus was, a thing, because we knew that we'd be pushed from our usual 8 to 10 weeks lead time to more. So honestly, we've been placing orders like fiends, trying to get everything in and just knowing that there'll be delays. We've had 3 clients that were on the books for new consultations postponed. So we're working from home. So the first thing we had to do was get a Zoom account and set everybody up at home. But other than that, we're working like we always do.
Right. Just a reminder to everybody, please mute your phones. I think there's a few of them that are not muted, if you don't mind.
So should I go next?
Yeah, go ahead.
So we're actually in the middle of putting together the Pasadena Showcase House, which just got postponed from April 26th to June 7th. And they stopped construction last week. They just reinstated construction because it really is a construction zone. They're keeping everybody apart. I'm pretty much done with our space, except for the little stuff. So that's really not affecting us that much. But in terms of our projects, we just sent out some big proposals. Still waiting for those to come back for big furniture purchases. Nobody has canceled so far. We did get one signed contract and a check last week. Nothing's changed there. But luckily we've kept everything pretty lean. Since we started, my husband and I, had it really hard in 2008, and we learned a lot of lessons back then. And I'm thankful for him, because there were times that I was pushing to hire more employees, but he said, let's keep it lean unless we really, really have to. So I did hire somebody about 6 months ago, and she's working from home, but luckily we've implemented all those procedures. So it's really easy for me working electronically with her. And if things do get tough, I still have work to give her. I can have her write blog posts. And the one thing that I'm really having her concentrate on is learning all those new programs that's going to make our business that much better once we get out of all this. Right now, it's not the time to just sit back and watch movies all day. I'm paying her for working. So I told her, learn these programs. We're going to need it.
How about you, Kelly? How are you guys handling the day-to-day part of it? You said you were doing Zoom calls. Are you also, how are you handling your staff? Because I know you two have staff too.
Yeah, we have an office outside of our homes normally, and we have 2 ladies that work for us, Amy and Lisa. Amy's full-time, Lisa's part-time, and so we kind of we're not totally working from home yet. I've been gone because of my surgery, but we kind of laid it out for them. Since our office is small and we have a house, so we can really separate. I was like, okay, guys, I want to do whatever anybody, what makes everybody comfortable. Do you guys want to Lisa goes in on Mondays, Kelly goes in on Tuesdays, Joanne goes in on Wednesdays, so we're there by ourselves. Do you want to all be together and we're all in separate areas of the house together? How do you want to do it? And they were really flexible. So I think what we're going to do after we met with that client today and did that big presentation, I think we're just going to really try and work from home as much as we can. We're on Studio Webware. We have like a big client book for every project that's underway that's like the Bible. So whoever is kind of in charge of that project is taking the Bible home. And if we have to share, we can scan and and share that way. The issue that's really going to be the hardest is, for example, I have a job right now where I have to get into the office to look at all the fabrics and finishes. And so I think in that case, we'll probably take turns being in the office so we're there by ourselves. But otherwise, we're home. Everybody has printers. Everybody has scanners. Everybody has laptops. We all have the big second screen that we can bring home. So it's a day by day thing. I mean, we're still like super busy, so we got to keep moving.
You know, I don't think you're alone with that. I mean, we did do a sort of a polling type question out on Instagram, and overwhelmingly, most of the designers that, you know, didn't have fear of this virus closing their business, and they had work still coming in, they had work still, you know, expecting deliveries. So that's what we're hearing for sure from, you know, from the designers at large. Austin, how are you handling this?
As other people have mentioned, things have been, I mean, it almost seems bizarre to say, but other than the interruptions with having our employees shift to working from home, the workflow is very normal, almost spooky how normal it is and how people are still, you know, moving forward with projects. I think timing wise, we lucked out. Any other year, I think it could have been a disaster. Normally, since we're working on mostly homes in the Hamptons, most of our installs are happening. Any other year would be happening right around now, up through Memorial Day. That would be very challenging. Just the way things have worked this year, we had a few of our installations had already happened earlier this winter and early spring. And then the rest of the projects we have are sort of just starting out or midway through long-term projects. So it's nothing that we are installing right now, which is really nice. So everything that we're doing is just sort of the day-to-day communication back and forth with clients, presenting things. We did Jennifer did a meeting with a builder over the weekend, but said, I don't want anyone else in the house, just you and I. We're going to be on either, you know, opposite sides of the room. I'll give you, you know, 2 hours. It was a timing thing. If it didn't happen that weekend, it would have pushed things way back, and, you know, hard to do over the phone. So she sort of made an exception on that. But other than that, we're trying to do everything that we can, either over FaceTime or, you know, sending digital and FedEx presentations to clients and then walking them through it over FaceTime, things like that.
Now, one of the questions that came in from some of the members, and I think you might be able to handle this question well, you know, what were some of those things that you did throughout 2008 when, you know, business was tough to survive? You know, a lot of our members are looking for these tips and tricks behind the scenes, things that they can do if there is a slowdown.
What was interesting about after 2008, we were fortunate that our firm was very established in this area, in a space where there are not a ton of other well-established sort of medium, large-scale firms. So it was easy for us to stay a visible firm as opposed to other smaller designers. So we still kept getting calls. We didn't really see a slowdown in 2008. What we did see was everybody wanted to negotiate. You know, design fees that had been, you know, our standard practice, and clients didn't bat an eyelash to in previous years. Now everyone wanted to negotiate, and that was the tricky part for us, was not wanting to compromise what we thought the value of our time was versus you know, recognizing that there is a shift in people's perception, a shift in the economy and what the market will bear. So, you know, we eventually saw, after sticking to our guns for a little bit, we felt it became one of those situations where we could stick to our guns and, you know, let project after project go because somebody was finding someone cheaper, or try to reassess what the sort of the new normal baseline of what was acceptable design fee under new economic circumstances. So we did eventually bring our design fees down for a little bit, just so we could make sure that we were still staying competitive and still actually getting work. And then, you know, over the 2-3 years, as things moved back up, we started moving them back up to where they were before. So, and there's plenty of times where, you know, clients have tried to negotiate our design fees, and we just flat out said, no, this is the value of our work and our services and what we bring to the table. And if you don't see that value, then we're not the designer for you. We've absolutely done that, and, you know, more than half the time it ends up working, and they agree that that there is value that they're getting working with us. Sometimes they don't, and they'll move on to somebody cheaper. And there's always going to be a client that doesn't matter if they're calling you and talking to you. There are always going to be clients to which you are not the design. You will never be the designer for them. They will never be the client for you, because you're just worlds apart on that. And so we're okay letting those go. But anyway, the point of all this is, if people are seeing either work dry up, or people, because of economic circumstances, start to want to negotiate and not ready to pay the rates that you normally charge, it's important to weigh what you believe you're worth, but also looking at what the overall economy will bear.
Yes, I think that I think you're right. You're dead right on that. Jeanne, you have you sort of were changing things up in 2008. So tell us a little bit about what you were doing.
2008, I was living in New Jersey. I was a stay-at-home mom taking classes at the New York School of Interior Design. And 2009, I was forced to move back to LA. And, you know, I was a fashion designer for 20 years. So I went back to fashion design in 2009 and did that for about 3 years. And at the time, just, you know, I started writing about interior design, started a blog, and then that just morphed into, you know, started taking on projects. And, you know, I had to totally reinvent myself. So this is pretty new to me. This is, we're going on 7 years. So I did not experience the interior design industry in 2008, 2009. But I know that what we went through was not easy. Nothing can be as bad as it was then, for me at least. So I just learned to diversify. So, you know, writing a blog, and that's why I'm as active as I am, because I just never want to put myself into that position where, you know, I can only do one thing. What if that isn't successful? So it's juggling a bunch of things. It's writing, it's working with brands, it's, you know, doing things in the industry and connecting with designers. And that's why we have a trade showroom. So, yeah, it seems like I'm everywhere doing everything, but it's a necessity so that I don't run into that rut again.
Great. Now, I have a question actually that Cheminne can help answer too. I know you're doing a lot of different things, but Cheminne or Kole, I want to know, what do you think that we will do, or will you specifically, your design business, look for financial resources if this is extended a lot longer than we think. We're anticipating, the warmer weather comes back, maybe this will recede a little bit and people can kind of get back to some semblance of normal for a bit, and then we might be coming back into it through the fall. But we don't know. This is a totally unknown scenario. So what will you do if it gets there?
Well, for us, and let me just say a few things back to your other question, and then I'll answer that one too.
Yeah, sure.
Is in 2008 was actually a really great time for Joanne and I. We were just talking about your question the other day because we were thinking, how can we take what we did in 2008 and manipulate it to this circumstance, because it is still different. But in 2008, we did a couple of things while the economy was so down. One, that's when we actually moved out of our homes and into an office, because we could negotiate, like Austin was saying. We found a great office with a great rent because the landlord was so desperate. So we took advantage of that. We opened up a ton of accounts at High Point because for once we could get in the door. Whereas they would stick their nose up to us before, and now they were so desperate. So we opened up a shit ton of accounts. We never turn down small jobs. We've all had times when we're like, oh, we're doing good, we're not taking small jobs anymore. We never turned down those small jobs, and they kept us going through that recession because we had a lot of them. And even though they take a lot longer, but still, it paid the bills. So those were three things that we did then. So we were thinking about, okay, now this is a kind of a different thing. What can we do? Well, we definitely went to our staff and said, okay, guys, and this actually came from last year, because last year was a really weird year for us. I don't know if it was for you guys, but we're normally like totally steady all the time. We're always fine. Everything's good. And last year it went up and down, which I think it was because we had a lot of commercial jobs going on. And so the payouts were like big, then nothing, big, then nothing. But we had gone to our staff and said, if would you guys, are you okay with working reduced hours when we really need you to? I mean, Joanne and I won't, can miss a paycheck. We won't pay ourselves. We'll always pay you, but would you mind hanging in with us during this tough time and please work for us, but for less? And thankfully we have two women that work for us that are married, and their husbands have good jobs, and they don't rely on us for insurance or anything like that. And they were flexible. And that was a big help. We also went and got a line of credit. And this was last year. This was before coronavirus, because we had this dip and we wanted to rebrand. And the rebrand was going to cost $15,000. And so we took out a line of credit from Bank of America, and we put that on there. And then we just pay it off. We pay towards it every month. But it's there just in case something, the shit really hits the fan.
Right.
So, and then the other thing is, like Austin, we don't negotiate our rates ever. That's just a red flag. If you want to negotiate with us, then you don't see our value and we can't work together. But I will say that there are times when, unbeknownst to them, we might lower our rates a little bit more than the norm to snag that job. So, we kind of just take every project, do we like you? Are you easy? Do we want to do the job? Maybe we'll lower our design fee a little bit. Are you a pain in the ass? Do you want all kinds of crazy stuff? I'm not negotiating. So, we just kind of go from there. But I think it's really a time for us to think about, how can we benefit from this? We were, when we redid our rebrand and we redid our website, we redid everything, we decided that we would jump into e-design. And it's not what we do every day. But it's there, and it's a great service, and it's gonna, probably be great right now. We also have another service on our website called Pick Your Brain. We have a shoppable that you can go. So if you want to pick our brain for 30 minutes to an hour, hour and a half, you pick, and there's a charge as you request more time. You can do that. So, all these people are staying at home right now. They're probably looking around their houses going, ugh, ooh, I could work with an interior designer, for $300 for an hour. Like, yeah,
Not
so
just that. I know that there are people I'm talking to that, they don't have a home office. you know, so
Right.
they need
help.
they need to get something set up. And, you know, you're seeing more retailers that can't provide those services too, because they're closed. You know, our mall is closed. So in some ways, designers can be that, you know, that first person that someone can contact if there's a problem. I mean, I know for off the top of my head, I have at least 10 people who are in situations where they don't have a space dedicated to work, and they're trying to revamp that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I guess my point is, just don't look at this as a great time to move your business forward rather than panicking, because it's going to be okay. It's all going to end, and, you know, hopefully we come out better for it.
You know, that leads me right into the next question I had for everyone. And that is, you know, what do you think your business is going to do if we have some severe downtime? What are you going to use that for? What are you dedicating your time to learn?
And I know that I'm brushing up my skills on SketchUp and Chief Architect.
Ah.
Yeah.
When you're done, could you come teach me?
Yeah, right. I mean, SketchUp has totally saved my life. I mean, I've been able to close deals because I can present in 3D. I can present in person or electronically. So, I mean, that's been a game changer for me. There's some things that I still need to learn, and I'm going to brush up on that. I'm still working on client projects right now, so I haven't had time to really devote to that. But that's the plan, along with Chief Architect.
Ah, okay. How about you?
I would love to be paperless at some point. Like I was telling you guys, we have this big book that's a Bible per job. And my husband is like, I'm printing like every 5 seconds. His office is back there, and he's on a conference call right now, and he's like, no printing. And I'm like, such a paper whore. And we've got to go paperless. It's just, I've got to figure out a way. So when I can slow down, which isn't right now, that's what I'll be focusing on.
You know, also you have a podcast too, so you're diversifying as well. You've had blogging, Kelly. Now you're doing podcasts.
Well, I think to Jeannie's point, which is so good, is and that's another thing we learned in 2008 is, you know, to stay super involved, whether it be High Point, you know, all the style spotters and the inside tours, or the one room challenge, or podcasting, or, you know, to keep yourself out there and keep yourself really alive and learning and jumping on calls like this. And I mean, I'm like looking at, you know, all the people that are on, and oh, there's Veronica. You know, it's like, you know, we all know each other because we're so involved. And so in times like this, you go, oh shit, help somebody, give me advice, you know.
Yeah.
It's really important.
That's when we have to come together during these times more than ever. How about you, Austin?
We're using any potential downtime we have after we're done cleaning our house and cleaning out our basement from the renovation that we finished 2.5 years ago and still never got to those last 30 or 40 boxes. We're working on sketching for some licensed collections that we're working on. We have a licensed furniture collection with Cravat, and we have the second round of it coming out spring of next year. So we're finalizing some things there, and we're working on a lighting license that we've got to get working on. Some of the shop type drawings for that we just keep putting off and putting off. So that's top of our queue to start working on there. And then the next step beyond that is also use this time to look at other areas where we can push into licensing and product design. It's finding the time to do that has been the hardest thing for us over the years, with trying to find time to do that with our regular client work and family life. And so we're gonna take whatever downtime we have as an opportunity to jump on that. That's like a gift to be able to find, you know, time to do that.
Make sure you're muted if you're not on camera. Our next question, where I kind of wanted to kind of ease out of this slowly, and then we'll get to questions. Was I just want to do something a little bit fun because we've been talking about some pretty heavy stuff. But what are you sort of doing to relax yourself during this? I know so many designers are so stressed, and it can't all be worries every day. So what are you doing to keep calm?
Well, anyone that follows me on Facebook or Instagram knows that I'm a big stand-up paddleboarder, and there's nothing like social distancing yourself by being out on a paddleboard in the middle of the water. So that's been great.
Yes, yeah, I'm sure.
My husband drove to Chicago last week from Atlanta to pick up our oldest daughter, and right after Chicago shut down, and because she refused to get on a plane. So I've got both of my girls home, with one's 24 and one's 26. So this is quite interesting because we're all working. So we're all kind of like, well, where are you going to go? My house is not that big. So we're all working, but we're doing all the old stuff, like, jigsaw puzzles and cooking. And they were watching Swiss Family Robinson the other day. So, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. How about you, Jeanne?
I'm fixing things up around the house. I'm always so busy, fixing up everybody else's house that, this shoeless cobbler is finally working on her own house.
That's amazing to me. You never stop working.
No, I don't. So I've been back into the showroom a couple times to, take things from our displays, thinking, okay, well, I could use this in my own house.
Right.
Because I can't get product in. So, the other day I stole some light switches from our displays and I'm installing them in our powder room.
That's great. Well, we have some questions and some things I think we could talk about. Cheminne, you want to start with that?
Yeah, I think one of the ones that I've gotten, I had 3 texts about this one on my phone. What are you doing about orders? Are you placing them or not? Because a lot of the manufacturers and suppliers are also in shutdown mode.
I'm surprised at how many are not. We're obviously, every time we get an email from a supplier manufacturer saying, we're moving ahead, as being deemed an essential business, we're available. Obviously, so it's always surprising to keep seeing those coming up. Any vendor that we haven't heard from that we have to place an order from, we're calling and checking with them just to make sure everything is going smoothly and they're staying open. And yeah, we're proceeding forward. We're typically like that though. We will place orders as soon as we can, just because our installations tend to be such a tight window, especially getting, going into the season. We always have things ordered as soon as possible, and they can sit at a receiver for 2 months, 6 months, 9 months. We'd rather have it and be able to install it as soon as we're ready. So we're not holding off on anything.
Do you have a plan in place as a follow-up for businesses that do, like in North Carolina, they're getting close to complete shutdown right now? We're not, but obviously that will impact a lot of people. So I was just curious if you have a plan.
The plan is, and again, we have a little bit of leeway. Had we had a bunch of stacked up Memorial Day deadlines, I think it would have been a lot dicier. Now what we're doing is weighing when the installation is scheduled for, what the lead times are, how essential each piece is. If we're hearing from a supplier that something is not going to be available or they are shutting down, on a piece by piece basis, we're going to have the conversation of, can we substitute this with something else and move forward now, or do we want to just wait and it'll come when it comes? We haven't come up against that just yet, but that's our strategy going forward.
Anyone else want to address that, Jeanne or Kelly?
I actually did want to say that we've had on Interior Design Community on our Instagram a lot of conversations in private chat with different manufacturers, different manufacturer reps, and a lot of reps are practicing social distancing, so they're not coming in and to showrooms, and they're not talking to designers, and they really don't know how to communicate through this. If they're not used to not being able to do this face to face, and they're not exactly sure how to handle the situation where they're trying to do Zoom meetings. And, it's such a, you have to see it, look at it, touch it, and that's how designers are, very visual. So this is a very big roadblock for a lot of manufacturers and reps out there. So, even if your business is going through a little bit of a slump, I would still recommend, taking those Zoom calls, making those relationships. People do remember who stuck by them when things were hard. So do that, reach out to your reps, see how they're doing. And, set up that line of communication either through Zoom or FaceTime or any other, video call where you can have some sort of face-to-face connection with some of your best suppliers.
I think it's really important to be placing orders right now. I mean, our clients pay in full 100% upfront when a job is approved. I have the money. I want to support these manufacturers. So if it takes an extra month to get to me, okay. If it comes early, it's going to sit in my receiving warehouse anyway. So I think all of our clients know that we're not on a normal time frame. If it's delayed, it's delayed. But I feel like if I don't place the orders now, I'm going to be in a world of hurt later. So I'd rather just get it in. And if it takes a little bit longer, then so be it. But I want to give that money to our manufacturers and our artists and our rug people and our lighting. I mean, I just, I want to get it out there.
It's a great point. There's, over the years, sometimes there'll be some areas, some regional areas of the country will have some kind of delay, or a certain industry will, or a certain manufacturing location in the country or the world will have an issue that clients, they're not always seeing how the sausage is being made, so they may not have an understanding of why are my pieces delayed. The fortunate thing about what we're going through now is it's affecting everybody, so everybody understands. I don't think anyone is saying, I can't believe my sofa's not here yet. They know why it's not here yet, if there's a delay because of that. So at least it's keeping everyone sort of on the same footing with understanding, the tempered expectation of there are going to be some delays along the way.
I'm new to this. I don't know if I'm supposed to be talking or not. So can I just interject and introduce myself and tell me how this works? Because I just got on.
Go ahead.
Okay. My name is Beth Arrowwood, and I own a company called Neba Design. In fact, Austin, I think you and your wife Jennifer bought some bed linen from me before.
Mm-hmm.
I live down in Florida, and I've had my company for 15 years. So I've been through the 2008. First of all, I want to say to all the designers there, thank you so much for what you all just said about supporting your vendors, because I think that is very reassuring to somebody like me. And I think what you're saying is really true, because it's also all these people that are making these goods, like in our case overseas, who we're keeping alive as well. So we've been fortunate that we haven't seen a huge slowdown yet, but we are offering an incentive right now during the coronavirus where we're basically offering 10% off. And a lot of it is also just basically with what you just said, Austin, that, we don't know right now. Like maybe everything's running on schedule. Everything's running on schedule with my company right now, but you know what? They just announced this morning in India, they're doing a 3-week total, which I think is incredibly smart for a country like India. But I work with so many different types of manufacturers. I know that if somebody came to me right now and needed to order something and I placed the order, I know that they're going to work 3 or 4 weeks faster than another one. So in the end, it might not affect our lead time. But it is, I think it's a scary time for all of us, but I do feel overall that we're a lot luckier to be in this industry than a lot of my friends who are on different things, who can't work from home, who don't have flexibility with their clients to do, whatever. Doing
Thank you,
sales.
Beth. That's great. That's great. And I think that a lot of people are feeling the same way, it looks like in the chat. I had another question that was sort of an offshoot of this. We're thinking about, Cheminne and I were thinking about doing, obviously, these kinds of hangouts on a regular basis, probably twice a week, while this is going on, and definitely try to keep them information-based and educational. And we've had reps from different companies that have offered to do tutorials or give some education, and as well as just out of the industry, like different video editors and web design people and SEO people that can help designers do some things and use this time effectively. Jeannie, you because you have the store, because you have your website and your blog, are you looking at, are you doing more online shopping too? Are clients buying things online from you?
So we have a lot of designers they continue to send in proposals for pieces of furniture for their projects. So we are taking in orders, not as much as we have in the past. We've definitely seen a slowdown, but people are they're still moving forward with their projects.
Yeah, I think so too. We're definitely hearing that, at least on Instagram and Facebook. I mean, I don't know, designers sometimes, and I'm not going to say all the time, but sometimes designers like to present a better picture than what's really going on behind the scenes. But I know a lot of designers are still working, and they're continuing their projects. We did have an interesting question come up earlier on Instagram that was really focused around doing face-to-face meetings. Now, you're all stopping all face-to-face meetings with clients at this point, or not?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
Good. That's good to hear.
Funny, I saw on Facebook, Tamara Magel, an hour or two ago posted specifically about, are you still doing face-to-face meetings? I had a client that wanted, that's an hour away from me, that wants to do a meeting, I think she's in public, like plenty of distance apart. What are you guys doing? And my response was, I mean, even before this, if a client was an hour away and wanted to do a meeting, if it was something that could be done over phone or FaceTime, I might consider that. But under these circumstances, 100%, I would not be driving an hour to go meet with a client. I wouldn't be, wouldn't go 5 minutes down the road at this point, unless it was, something on an emergency level, and still we could be sure that there was plenty of distance apart. It's just that it's not necessary.
Yeah, I have a client who's 2 hours away, and a couple of days ago we sent a whole big box of samples. And so we're planning a Zoom call where we're going to go over everything, and then the plan of the design online. So it can be done. You just need a plan for it.
That's really great to hear. I'm kind of, it's kind of optimistic to hear that so many of the designers are, continuing to work and figuring out these other challenges like going online, doing Zoom meetings. Do you think that there might be a shortage in samples, Jeannie?
There haven't been for us so far. I mean, I continue to order memo samples, and if I need to, I have them drop shipped, and then I follow up with the client once they've received them.
That's really great. Okay, Cheminne, you have another question?
I have one more aggregate question from people who are on with us. Some of them are not doing as well as the three of you are. Clients have stopped everything. Other people are saying this is catastrophic for me. The clients are taking back, reducing projects or recalling projects and deposits. How would you deal with that? And then as a second corollary to that, are you going to continue your marketing? It's kind of a two-part question.
I think for us, we would never, did you say, will you stop your marketing?
Yes.
Yeah, never, ever. Never, ever. We always act like, we're going to be poor tomorrow. And we'll be, like I said, 2019 was the weirdest year for us. I don't know where that came from, but we were just really made us nervous. So January just dumped new business on us. So I don't know what happened, but 2019 was scary. So we would never stop marketing. But, it's like, I can't panic. I just can't panic. I can't get really deep into it. It's like we're constantly sending out newsletters to keep in touch with people. We're still getting calls. We're just we're booking them in May. Working hard for the jobs that we have now, fine tuning everything in the office so we can be super efficient. But it's like, what am I going to, I just can't panic about it. It's not going to get me anywhere.
I'm totally with you, Kelly. Yeah, I can't panic. That's just going to undermine everything else that we have everything else that we have planned. So, I mean, I know that I've mentioned before that we're in the middle of a big expansion right now, which has totally been put on hold. And, I don't know what's going to happen, but I have to just plan as though that's still moving forward and think of other ways of bringing in income.
Well, and like I said that we did earlier last year, I'm not afraid to admit, we got a line of credit out because we're having an oh shit moment. So interest rates are low right now, reach out, get that line of credit just to have it, just in case you need it for a couple months of payroll or rent or whatever. But I think, like I was talking about, 2008 brought us a lot of benefits because of the economy at the time. I think it'll do the same now. I mean, look, we're all learning how to do things remotely and virtually. And here in Atlanta, I waste so much time in the car. I'm going to be so good at this by the time this coronavirus is over that I'm not going to get in the car if I don't have to going forward. Like Austin was like, no way. I'm thinking, okay, going forward, I can do a lot of this from home, and I just save so much time and effort and money. So I'm just trying to look at the positive side of everything because I just refuse to, freak out.
I think it's really important to say too that so much of marketing now is free or close to free if you can learn how to do it. I mean, you can revamp your website, you can go on social media, you can still share information, you can learn video editing software, you can learn video. There's just a lot of tutorials out there and a lot of ways that you can connect with an audience that we wouldn't have been able to do. I mean, even in 2008, people were starting to blog and they were getting an audience via blogging. And a lot of people got through that way, but they still were learning. They were learning social media. Oh, those are really savvy new people were doing it. And as business picked up, they were the first ones to sort of get new clients from it because they had this established blog. Right now, maybe I wouldn't blog. Maybe I would do videos. Maybe I would learn how to do great presentation video. A lot of Instagram favors people who are doing their more new tool, their new tools. So IGTV. I know it's a form for mostly teenagers, but I guarantee you in the next years, you might see TikTok actually starting to take off. And I'm seeing, if you hashtag interior design, there are videos that aren't that great, that aren't by professional designers who have 50,000 views. How do you know if any of those people can afford a designer or be able to connect with your business? So I definitely see video as being, something to actually learn through this process if you have the time to do it.
I agree. I totally agree with that. What I wanted to mention on the flip side for anyone that's doing any type of paid marketing, advertising, things like that, I think it's important as a business to understand what your marketing budget is, because if you know what you're planning to spend on marketing, it's a lot easier to have that budgeted in on a year-to-year basis. When you go through some kind of slow period, you know what your cost is. You've already planned for that cost, and then at that point you can decide: do I want to pull back a little bit? I don't recommend stopping marketing. If you've been successful with paid advertising, we do advertising in a lot of the Hamptons-based magazines out here. It's worked very well for us. In 2008, we did not slow down our marketing at all. And what ended up happening is smaller firms that, as a budget item, it was the first thing that they pulled. What ended up happening is you had, the available eyeballs had fewer designers to look at because many of them had pulled out of the advertising space. So, for us going through 2008, we actually grew as a firm because we didn't slow down marketing. We could have saved, $20,000, $30,000, in 2008 by not doing any advertising or marketing, but it led to a lot more work down the road and down the road and down the road as there were fewer designers advertising, so therefore fewer designers that you're really competing for clients' attention with. So, cutting an advertising budget, especially significantly, it may give you a short-term gain. I don't believe it's a good long-term gain. So that's why I say it's important to have a marketing budget to know what you're planning to spend on a yearly basis and budget for that and have that money aside. And again, if you're really in a situation where paying for some of that advertising is going to make a huge impact on you as a business and as a person or as a family, then you have to make some really hard decisions about, do you cut back a little bit? Do you do what Kelly suggested and get a line of credit to help pay for that? But I strongly, strongly believe that in any type of economic contraction, eliminating or cutting significantly back on your marketing will only hurt you in the long run.
I think that's great advice. I did see something that came up. Carter, if you can unmute too. You said something really great about sustainability, and if you want to kind of repeat that to everybody too, that would be great. I think that's a big statement.
Yeah, hi everyone. Nice to be here and listen to all of you. I have built my entire business on being a sustainable interior designer. So for me, that means reworking of furniture, working with smaller vendors in my area, and I live in Minneapolis. So it is a cosmopolitan area filled with about 500,000 to 1 million people. But because I don't rely on things that are being made or purchased from overseas, I'm having an easier time because I already have a stockpile of things that I use for clients. They just really sit in a warehouse, and then I pull out the pieces of furniture, the rugs and everything to work with them. And that's what I've been known for. So right now, fingers crossed, it's saving me a little bit. And people know that I am very much built on good value. So that has been a part of my marketing. And it has served me well the entire time I've been in business.
That's really great to hear. And I do think a lot of people are noticing, the world picture of, the fish coming back to the Venice canals and things that make them think, well, maybe I really should care more. And it's always been in this industry, price versus sustainability, I think we're going to have a lot. I think we definitely have to have learned some lessons from this too. And at least being able to see, the whole design industry become more sustainable would be an awesome impact.
I do a lot of teaching of designers with that. So
that's awesome.
And it's been really, really rewarding because they start to open up their eyes to statistics that I have placed on my website, for instance. And once they start to educate themselves for that, I just love to see where they go with it. So it's not me just working with clients. I love working with other designers as well and building a team that way.
I love that. Well, I think that's a great note to we're going to leave it at that for today. But we're going to have.
Laura, I just wanted to mention one other thing just for designers that, that may have clients that are reticent about moving forward on projects. Something that we're all experiencing is with having to social distance and shelter at home. We're all seeing how much the comfort of our own homes is important, and I think that's something to focus on with potential clients or clients that are maybe trying to put the brakes on something because they're worried about the economic aspect of it. I think the selling point becomes, well, yes, we don't know what the economic future holds. We're sure at some point in the short term and medium term things will rebound, but in the meantime, when you are sheltering in your home, it really makes you appreciate the comforts that you have. And if you're, for a client that approached you about working on their house, there's no better time than now to keep working on that and create an environment that is homey and comfortable for your client, for their family. I think that becomes a selling point. And then the next step is tackling how you can respect their concerns about the economy from that. But I think if you sell them on the comfort factor and the importance of it now, that's putting them in a different headspace where they're thinking about their own comfort and their family's comfort before what their 401k might look like tomorrow versus a month from now versus a year from now.
I think you're right. I think that, that people are going to be, and I know everybody right now they're out there in their homes. We moved 2 years before this happened. So our house used to be like half the size. Right now we have enough space, but I keep thinking like, oh gosh, we're in our old house. What would have that looked like with all of us trying to, find our little spots to do our, video calls and, work that we have to do. And we're lucky that we have this space now. And I think a lot of people are going to be looking at their space and thinking differently. But of course, that only works if we're not seeing massive layoffs and people are not without money to do things like that. We did have some interesting things come on over the chat. And I just wanted everybody to know, throw in your Instagram handle on the chat if you can, because everyone wants to follow everyone here. So if you're in the group and you're, you want to get some follows, put your Instagram handle in there so everybody can follow everyone else. And the other thing is that people did talk about doing a sustainability meeting again. And we actually did a sustainability summit when we used to do Hangouts. I'd love to do that again. Carter, if you want to be involved, shoot me an email. I'm gonna put my email in there too. So I'm gonna actually message you my email. And you can be a part of it. I would love for you to do that. But any of you, if you have ideas about what you want to learn, about what you want to see from these, please message me, message Cheminne. I'll put my email in here. Cheminne, maybe you should put your email in there too, so that any of our members can message us and give us some ideas of what you want to hear in these video calls. We're doing it for you. We're not doing it for ourselves. So, we want to make sure that the focus is on what you want to hear about and who you want to hear it from. We can reach out to different manufacturers. We can reach out to different experts. So if you want to hear about something, let us know. And I think that's pretty much it. Have a nice day, everybody. I'm just going to be turning off the recording, and if anyone wants to stay in here afterwards, you can and chat. But we're just going to close it out for today.
Thank you.
Nice chatting with you all.
Bye.
Bye.